Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Beyond Technical. We're back with a little bit of Street Fighter here for you guys. So I was very lucky, I guess, to have managed to get to hop into the Street Fighter V beta. So what I thought I'd do is I'd just throw a little bit of gameplay footage, I guess, of stuff with me goofing around with the game and getting a few matches in, and then just tell you guys, I guess, my thoughts on what I'm thinking of the beta so far. And for those of you who didn't get to experience it, I'll try to give you guys a little bit of insight as well if you haven't managed to find that somewhere else. First things first, let me just say it's working really well for the early status of the game, and it is really fun. Like, it's very hard, and I've seen this written a lot of times. A lot of players are really struggling with going back to Street Fighter 4 because, wow, this beta is really showing me what I think Street Fighter should be, and I think they've made a lot of fantastic changes. Some of the big stuff they've done is the one-frame links are completely taken out of the game. There's nothing smaller than a 3-frame link, which is still challenging, but not impossible. Combos will still be performed even if you spam a little bit harder, so for new players that's excellent news because you're not really going to want to get into that habit, but if you are just like really in need of something, you can just spam the crap out of it and it will still work. So doing combos is so much easier. It's not something that, you know, you need to be playing 10 years of Street Fighter to be able to do consistently. Now it's something that most players should be able to do consistently. I think that's a great change because the way that Street Fighter is it's not very new player friendly at all, and I don't think struggling with the controller should really be the skill factor. I think it should more be your decision making and your ability to react to your opponent, and I think that there's plenty of skill left in Street Fighters that even if you kind of ease up on the combos, it's going to be okay. So we're seeing the first round start now. So I'll try to get into a little bit of what I'm thinking about, I guess, the gameplay itself. So there was, I think, like 8 or 10 characters available throughout the duration of this beta, which was really cool. You guys can just ignore the stuff at the top because I was streaming a lot of things when I was recording them. So anyways, this beta was just, it was awesome. The character diversity is fantastic. I really liked the different styles a lot of the characters had. This game is a lot more melee, I guess, friendly than Fireball or range character friendly. Like, there's not as many Fireballs and there's a lot of good answers to them. I played Nikali primarily, so that's why you're going to see mostly Nikali matches. With him kind of going Super Saiyan and stuff at the end there. And he's got one move that's basically Balrog's dash punch, except that it just punches fireballs out of the way and then hits you, which is just so nice to have characters that can kind of deal with these range shots. It's not that there's no room for fireballs, you can still play that kind of a style, but it's harder than it was in Street Fighter 4, where you were basically totally 100% safe if you spam it from across the screen against, I'd say, 95% of the cast. So you're gonna have to struggle with that. You're gonna pick your fireballs a little bit more wisely now. All right, so let's just, I guess, not get into the VTrigger just yet, but let me just talk about the characters' normals and stuff. There's a little bit more timing to them. Like, they kind of seem to linger a little bit longer in this game, but the game itself feels like it's got a very fast pace. When you get really defensive, it's really good in this game because they made the throw range absolutely tiny, and it's just nuts. How small that throw range is and how hard it is to really break somebody from guarding. So if you guard your way out of a bad situation, it's very easy to keep it that way. So people are definitely going to start implementing a lot of things like overheads and stuff, I think, because there's quite a few good ones in this game, as opposed to Street Fighter 4 where it was kind of a very character specific thing. Most characters have at least something overhead related, which I think is great. I love having options to break defense that aren't throws. Command throws, on the other hand, were pretty trash, in my opinion, at least on Nikali. His command throw basically will only grab you if you are touching their character model. You have to be that close, and at which point in time it's usually faster to go for a regular throw, because when you whiff a command throw, it takes like a half an hour to recover, and you only really gain like 40 or 50 damage out of it. So it's a very specific thing that I would only really do on their wake-ups sometimes. Obviously, you're not going to punish with it because you have so many other options. The other thing that's cool about this game is there's a move called Crush Counters, which is basically a really big, heavy, slow normal, and if you get a counter with it, it gives you like a really big reward because they kind of go into this dizzied state, almost like if you hit them with a focus attack and got the crumple. So Crush Counter combos are going to be something that's really important to kind of figure out as we go through this, but it's not really something I got enough time to play around with or really sort out a good answer to it. I usually just swept them for now because it's a big learning process as we go through the game. So the first character I played through was Armika. She's like a really cool grappler kind of girl. She's got some really interesting moves. I think she's really strong right now. Her combos are nuts. and I don't fully understand how she plays yet, so I think there's going to be a lot of that going on. The way the ranked system worked, as you'll see at the end of the match here, is it is LP based, which is called league points. They're basically player points. So that seems to work in the same way, and they also level up the character you play individually, so it'll show the level you are on that character, and it'll show you how many league points the player has. The rank system wasn't totally working the whole beta. It seemed to kind of come together a little at the end, so I won't judge it too much right now. I will say for me, I had some pretty imbalanced matches. I played anywhere from, I think, the 10th rated player all the way down to the 60,000th rated player. I don't think they were expecting the beta to have the population it had, so they probably disabled any sort of matchmaking and just kind of let it match you up with whoever it could find. That being said, I guess let's get into the way that the beta setup is that you basically play training mode while you wait for matches. There's no option to choose your matches. There's no option to play with your friends. It's very, very limited in what it will let you do. So you just kind of get to practice your combos in between matches, which actually was kind of fun. I hope that that's something they implement as a nice, easy way to find matches in the future. I'm sure they will because it's Street Fighter and they generally do. So letting me just pop in and out of training mode was a great way to just keep the ball rolling and keep me playing, and it just delivered fights to me, and if it does a good enough job with this matchmaking system, I could see this being kind of the primary way people wait for games. So we've kind of discussed the normals a little bit. As I said, there's a lot of like slowness to some of the heavier normals, and the way that combos link is very different. You don't usually start combos with your light attacks, so it's a huge shift in playstyle in terms of, with Balrog, I would try to bait out, and if I could land a single jab, then I could always carry that through to a combo. Nikali doesn't really have combos off of his jabs, and a lot of the characters didn't. A couple of them did, but very few of them did. So generally, my only two cancelable moves were crouching medium punch and heavy punch on Nikali. And so that leaves me with kind of limited options in terms of what I can do. And the way that they've got the special moves working is, say, if I landed a heavy punch, I would get enough hit stun that I could do kind of any sort of follow-up ability that I had. But if I landed just a medium punch, then I could only do, say, the light version of his stomp would connect and combo, but the heavy version would not because it has too much startup. So I actually really like the new way they're kind of laying out combos. I'm curious to see when people really start figuring them out. And I've seen some pretty complex combos and started to learn myself with just playing the Nikali, like really how in-depth they can get. I quite ended up liking this character, although I do think he's got a lot of weaknesses and drawbacks. But as you can see with Nash, I'm landing a lot of these kind of pop-up stomps into his Shoryuken uppercut, which is a really cool way to do combos. I really was appreciating it. Alright, let's talk VTrigger real quick, because this video's dragging out, and I haven't really brought up the new mechanic yet. So V reversal, you'll see these bars. Basically, they build up as you take damage or as you use your V skill. The V skill replaces focus attacks, so you push your medium punch, medium kick, and your V skill will come out. Everybody has a different one, and they are very important to your character's kind of build. So some characters might... like Ken kind of runs forward with his, and then you have like a bunch of options in terms of what attack to do with his little run forward dash he has. Nikali's is kind of like a fireball. It bashes the ground and dirt flies up, and you can kind of decide if it's like short, medium, or long range. And if you get your V trigger, that's kind of the big important key in my opinion. So the V skill is an important little aspect of your character. Like Cammy does her back fist on her V skill. So it's like replacing legitimate, normal, regular attacks. Like Ken's forward step kick that's so amazing is basically now his V skill. So the V trigger is when you get your V bar filled up, you can now pop your V trigger. Everybody has a different one. Some people have attacks. Rashid, the sand tornado guy, he like puts down a wall tornado that rolls towards people, and it works as an amazing zoning tool. Most people basically have, well, I just call it Super Saiyan mode because I was playing Nikali and look at his hair. But Super Saiyan mode pretty much gives you the ability to just make all of your moves better. So if you get your V-triggered skill thing to go off first, you are really going to have some advantage. Here I am showing off the atrocious throw range in this game, and just how terribly bad it is. So when you get your V-trigger, you kind of go into this power-up Super Saiyan mode. It gives you better frame advantage on pretty much every move you do. They all come out faster. A lot of new combos open up as well. So you're really going to kind of need to learn two characters in a sense. And that's the one thing I think is a bit of a downfall, but at least it all is still built off your character. So for example, if I did a mid-screen jumping heavy kick into a crouching heavy punch into a heavy stomp, and then I tried to follow that up with my Shoryuken that I normally stomp into my Shoryuken, as you'll see me do that combo plenty of times, I could not do that mid-screen unless I'm in my V-trigger skill, and then it will work. that combo is very specific because you have too much pushback, and the uppercut changes with his V-trigger just enough. So the character's the same, but because the frame data changes a little bit, you'll see a lot of combos shifting off of that. It depends on the character. If you don't have a powered up mode on your character, then it might not really matter, and you might just have new setups built based on if you land your V-trigger ability. They are pretty strong, and I will say that some of the characters seem to really need a lot of balancing in that sense. For example, I felt like when I fought Ryu's, they got their V-trigger on 2 bars instead of 3, and that just made him a god. His fireballs are amazing in his V-trigger. And so once a Ryu had that, I felt like he got this massive advantage, which just basically forced me into this really defensive playstyle, and he got to go just ham on me, and I didn't really like that I had to wait for 3 bars, where I felt like my V-trigger only really seemed to proc most matches when I was already almost dead, because Necalli's V-skill is atrocious, and you really don't want to use it until you get your V-trigger, and then it's actually kind of okay, which sort of defeats the purpose, since the only way to build V-trigger is to use your V-skill or take damage. So most matches, you'll get it every match. It's kind of like your ultra comeback mechanic, and it's going to be really cool, I think, but it's not bullshit like an ultra where you just spam it as you wake up or do something stupid. So it's really, really nice. I love the mechanic. It's just fantastic. The other thing, I guess, is to talk about they got rid of focus attacks, so there's no kind of like baiting like there was in Street Fighter 4, where you just kind of spam focus attacks right at their heavy sweep range and then kind of destroy them if they ever hit a button. Now if your character looks opened up, they are opened up, and that is personally my favorite change to this game. I love that focus attacks are now gone, and I was really upset when I saw red focus added into Street Fighter 4, so seeing Street Fighter 5 without that is just phenomenal. The characters are fun. They are definitely redesigned to the sense that they play and feel very different from the Street Fighter 4 counterparts, but if you're like, say, a Ken player and you pick up Ken again, you're not going to take very long to adjust back into it, and it's going to kind of feel comfortable and normal really, really quickly and really soon. So yeah, then I guess the other thing to bring up that I haven't really talked about, which is kind of self-explanatory if you've ever played Street Fighter 4, is the EX meter. Yeah, it does exactly what it does in 4. If you push 2 punches or 2 kicks or whatever you need, then you'll get a kind of a blinky, lighter version of it that usually does something different or better. So you kind of get an upgraded ability with that. And then you have a super, or I think they're called a critical art in this game, but it's a super, like, let's be honest. And so you get critical arts based on using your full EX bar. So you do still have some kind of wake up spammy ability, but it's going to take your entire meter to do it, and you're basically only going to get 1 in 2 rounds most likely. So it's really, I like it. I think it's great. I like having a super, and it's an awesome combo finisher, and it is usually not too hard to combo into. But with the change to the ways combos work, with the extra frames, the little bit more spammy capabilities and stuff like that, I'm really curious to see kind of like just what kind of gameplay this kind of ends up bringing out. I'm loving Street Fighter 5 though. It feels faster and smoother in a really, really nice way. And as you can see, like, these matches are still moving along quite well, and we're playing, we kind of shift our styles from defensive to offensive, and it's just that no one really knows what they're doing completely yet. Some of the players seem to. I played some people that were just nuts and just wiped the floor with me, and it was really crazy. But a lot of players really are still trying to figure out like what's punishable, how do you punish things, and it's not the same as 4, where you'd usually just punish with a jab on almost everything, because unless they really did something that had a ton of recovery, that was your best way to link into a combo. Well, with this, you're really going to need to know, like, okay, well, my crouching medium punch is this many frames, my crouching heavy is this many frames, so if they're going to take 10 frames of recovery, I'm going to really want to only use my jab, for example, as opposed to my heavy punch. But if you can get the heavy punch off, oh dear God, it's really crazy for just how much damage you're going to get from those combos, because you're going to have heavy combos and medium combos and things that you're going to need to memorize as you go, if you want to really improve at the game. For new players, though, I will say again, like, this game is really very new player friendly. It's a lot better than 4, at least. It's still not perfect. And you'll see kind of like the style of gameplay kind of shifts a little bit on that note. Really quickly, I want to reference lag as well. Is really nice in this game. I haven't encountered too much. When I do, characters blink all over the screen, which is kind of really annoying. And that kind of sucks, but for the most part I've had pretty lag-free matches. I set myself as America, even though I'm in Canada, hoping for better matches, but it's been pretty nice so far. So the beta's looking fantastic. I can't wait for the full release, and I hope I get to play a bunch of you guys online and maybe supply a little bit more content, maybe some teaching stuff, and show off a bit more of the game if PC can get a little more love, because I don't currently own a PS4. Anyways, that's been the Street Fighter 5 beta. Thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure to follow on YouTube, check me out on Twitter at MattSkiar, and if you like platformers, I am currently also working as a game developer, creating my first video game, and would love some support on that, called Super Robot Jump Jump. You can find the video in the Beyond Technical channel if you're curious about it. The game has come a long way from the original alpha videos, but we don't have anything new to show off yet, so you'll see an old build, but trust me, it's going to be really awesome. Thank you guys, and I'll catch you next time.